Tony Long is the founder and CEO of FashionBar LLC. Tony has his bachelor's degree in marketing management with a certificate in entrepreneurship studies from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Tony has worked at various Fortune 100 companies like Avery Dennison and Alcan Packaging. During his 20 years of corporate work in marketing, management, manufacturing, and distribution, Tony opened a manufacturing facility in France for Nestle Corporation and managed the execution of healthcare reform mandates and regulations at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. In his recent years, Tony has shifted his focus from corporate companies to his true passion, which is fashion. He launched FashionBar LLC in Chicago to combine his corporate experience and love for fashion. Today, we're going to get to know Tony and FashionBar a little bit better. So Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional background.
Sure, my name is Tony Long from FashionBar Chicago. My professional background and my experience is in marketing, management, manufacturing, and distribution. I began my career at a company named W.W. Granger, an internship job that I had in communications, converted over to a full-time job from Thursday to a Monday. And that's all because my director at that time asked me if I was going to go to my graduation, and I said no because I was scheduled to work. And then he looked at me and he said, well, do you have a job on Monday morning? And I said, what do you mean? He said, do you have a full-time job on Monday morning? And I said, no, I don't. He said to me, he's like, well, if you leave now and go graduate, you'll start off with a full-time job on Monday. So that's when I started my career in corporate. It was in actually manufacturing, which was, the company's name was called Felpro. And I did gaskets and manifold sets and oil pan gaskets. So a lot of it was making gaskets and sealants for the automotive industry and the Air Force industry and things like that. So I did that for about 2.5 years at Felpro. And then when Felpro converted over, they were merged by a company named 3M out of Northfield, Michigan. And so when I believe it's 3M, when they acquired Felpro, then what ended up happening is that it converted over to a different company. And so with that being said, a lot of the people that were at Felpro, they basically resigned or got downsized, and they moved to W.W. Granger, which is another distribution company. And so from Felpro, I went to a couple of other companies, and then I ended up at Granger myself. And after Granger, what I did at Granger was basically all marketing. My career was all in marketing communications, marketing management, account management, market research, things like that, consumer marketing, things like that. And so after I worked at Granger, when I started working at Granger, then my marketing skills shifted from marketing analytics over to project management. And so I was assigned one of the associate project managers to implement a software system called SAP, which is a mainframe system tool that large companies, Fortune 500 companies that have products, large-scale products, they basically use SAP for their inventory management and things like that. So I learned a lot of the different aspects of technology and how technology can help the supply chain through project management. And then when Granger was merged, when Granger had to downsize, then I was let go, and it was sort of a deliberate let go because I knew I had to leave because my desire to work in the apparel industry, the fashion industry, was really, really at its peak at that point, but I didn't know how to get into it. Mm-hmm. So after that, I left Granger, and I was looking at for other jobs at that point in time. But also at that time point, I was actually remodeling my condo and kind of fixing things up to look for a brighter future ahead. And then my mom told me to apply at Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I applied, and I got a project manager role again, and this time it was for the implementation of Obamacare. And so I did that for probably about 7-8 years until the implementation was done. And then I was doodling one time in my cubicle at Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I just love the term, love the fashion, raise the bar. And so I put the words together, FashionBar, and I had my slogan, I had the name of my company. And I really didn't know what kind of a company I was going to start creating, but I think as time moved on, I knew I didn't want a styling company. I knew I didn't want a company that was strictly just business all the time. I wanted a company that would help me celebrate identity, whether it's my identity, or whether it's the people around me's identity, or whether it's like a market full of people that celebrate their identity and who they are. So that's how I started FashionBar. So FashionBar, all of my career experiences brought me to FashionBar, which started in 2013, 2014.
Mm-hmm. And what is FashionBar? What do you do at FashionBar?
FashionBar, what we do is, all of this was like a learning process to me, because I knew, like I said, I wanted to do something in fashion, but I wasn't quite sure what that would be. So when I created FashionBar was originally supposed to be a destination. You see a sports bar, you see a fashion bar. And so the destination really is a safe space for creative people that could meet business people, that could leverage each other's strengths and opportunities and really do something great at a place called FashionBar, right? And then it was so theoretically it was an event-based, social activity. But then when I started doing these social activities, which were pop-up events, I was doing them all over downtown Chicago, from the Radisson Aqua Blue to the Drake Hotel, to a lot of the different luxury hotels downtown, the Langham Hotel. And then designers started approaching me and sort of talking to me. And I was still working at Blue Cross Blue Shield at this time. And designers came up to me and approached me, and they said, well, can you help us with this? Can you do this? You should execute a runway show. You should do this. And then I sat back and I looked at my qualifications and my skills, and I asked myself, am I skilled and am I qualified to do this? And so when I look at the background of my career, which is in marketing, management, manufacturing, distribution, I realized, I said, my background is exactly what I can offer designers in order to move their business from just a skill and a hobby to an actually profitable business where they can actually build a brand and go to market. So FashionBar does three things. They do the first thing that they do is basically fashion business consulting, and that's establishing the brand through legal processes, whether it's a sole proprietorship, LLC, or corporation for that matter, and then also making sure that they've got an EIN number for tax purposes, and they're reporting to the state and federal on their taxes, and also making sure that they have logos that define the brand lifestyle that they're trying to create. Logos, websites, market research, a trend analysis, things that like those type of services that we offer that designers can access to make better decisions in their design career. Mm-hmm. Right, so that's the fashion business consulting. And then the second aspect of the business is design and development. The design and development has always been something that I've always wanted to do in the past. I'm not a sewer, but I value the amount of time it takes for someone to make a garment, or even the creativity it takes to create something. Make and create, they're both the same thing, but they also offer different things. So the design and development offers pattern making, it offers illustrations, it offers custom services to creating collections, prototypes for garments. So with technical packs and size charts and things like that designers need to know in order to build their brand. Mm-hmm. This is going to be focused on their target market. Who are they selling to? What did their brand offer? So the design and the development actually takes the idea to prototype. And that's the design and the development. And the third aspect of it is the go-to-market side of it. So the go-to-market side of it is various different types of programs that we have within the business to help push the brand further into market, locally or nationally or even globally. So that consists of, Chicago Fashion Week powered by FashionBar. We produce Chicago Fashion Week powered by FashionBar. We say powered by FashionBar because we see a Chicago that's inclusive, diverse, and culturally driven, and that's what we want to make sure that we're creating. Mm-hmm. And so the go-to-market offers the shows, the marketplace, the shops, the virtual shows, and then a couple of other activities, programs that we have called the Pride Ball and things like that, to really celebrate fashion as it elevates your identity. So three aspects of our business: fashion business consulting, design development, and go-to-market. And so these three businesses are the designer life cycle. I call the designer life cycle because in project management we have something called the project life cycle. If you think about it, a designer is not a project; rather, it's a life. You choose to live this life, but in actuality, in every part of this life, you need assistance because you don't know everything you need to know to do what's right for you.
Right.
So the tools that are available by FashionBar is to help elevate your brand, elevate the identity, and celebrate with your consumers, what you've been able to establish as a company.
Mm-hmm. So FashionBar does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What is FashionBar's mission?
Our mission is very simple. It's I laugh when I say that, but the concept of Crown Chicago, a fashion capital, means a lot to me. And the reason why is because I feel like Chicago has the talent, it's got the qualifications, it's got the skill set, and it's got the diversity. The diversity is probably the thing that really can take Chicago to a level where we can actually see an economic impact when it comes to what fashion can bring the city. So the diversity, the inclusion side of it. Our mission is to crown Chicago the fashion capital, bridging LA to New York, and making sure that these identities that exist in Chicago, these brands, can elevate and create massive national, if not global, brands that can actually, take Chicago to the next level and be a cosmopolitan city just like New York.
Right. So what does the future of FashionBar look like to you?
The future of FashionBar looks like a place where I can establish a larger team, centralize our location downtown, and acquire the resources that we need to really, really help these designers succeed. At the end of the day, there's not a company in Chicago that celebrates inclusion to the point that we celebrate it. Mm-hmm. We host about 14 different shows during Fashion Week, and one of them is a show that I value a lot. It's called Transmedia, where all the models in this particular show are transgender non-conforming. And we all know that trans women of color are at their highest risk for being victims of homicide because of lack of education. And then you have our show, which is the Modest Show, where we celebrate the hijab and the burqa with our Muslim community. Identity has a lot of forms and a lot of forms and a lot of experiences and a lot of culture. And I think that it's pretty powerful. And I think the important thing about the future is that embracing all these identities and knowing who these are, because all of these people, communities are our allies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the inclusivity part of FashionBar is probably my favorite part, just because it's not something that you always see in the fashion industry. And I think that's just a very good thing for people to see,
right,
just in fashion. Since you have started FashionBar, what has been your favorite moment?
Oh, God. I think my favorite moment up to this point, I think it's when the producers for Bravo contacted me and asked me about Project Runway designers, the top 10 fashion designers that FashionBar can recommend for Project Runway. And so FashionBar would be emailing the producers to get them a list of 10 designers. So that was one really amazing moment. I thought, we were actually getting acknowledged by national coverage in regards to what we're doing, specifically on the design side, the fashion design side. I think another proud moment was when I did one of my first shows in support of Alzheimer's Association. My mother, who's diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia, about 8 years ago, actually attended that event and spoke at that event and told the audience at that particular fashion show at the Drake Hotel that she was there because she's aware of her illness and she was happy to support the Alzheimer's Association. So that was another sort of milestone in my life and in her life, because there's a lot of correlation with FashionBar and what this company does in regards to my relationship with my mom. Mm-hmm. So it's a powerful company because it comes from a powerful place. So the future is inclusive.
Yeah, and I think that's what is needed.
Right. I mean, I agree 100%.
So recently I read an article in Business of Fashion about how to be successful in PR and in the fashion industry. It was an article about Rebecca Levy-Lewis, who knew she wanted to work in fashion from the time she was in 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. After graduating from Barnard College with a degree in art history and visual arts, she worked for a strategic marketing and communications firm, became senior manager of PR at Barney's, and then head of PR at Amazon Fashion, all by her mid-20s. Wow. Last year, she was hired as the global head of PR for Depop, where she manages the internal and external communications of a platform with over 26 million users across 147 different countries. In this article, she shared 3 key pieces of career advice for other PR professionals looking to work in the fashion industry. The first one was the importance of being able to craft a narrative, the importance of networking, and why being resilient, honest, and transparent are keys for success. So why do you think that it's important to hone your writing skills and be able to craft a narrative when working in the fashion industry?
I think crafting the narrative is important because you're telling the story. And I think any story has a starting point. And if it's not a starting point, it's a transition point, right? And so what you do in PR is basically making sure that story is conveyed truthfully. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because with FashionBar at least, because any PR agent would enjoy the story around a fashion industry or establishing a fashion industry in Chicago, because that in itself creates jobs. Mm-hmm. Right, and it's and PR is basically one of the components of marketing. Right, PR is sort of a verbal communication of the identity. Right, and so and the identity is the story. Yeah. So I think PR is a pretty powerful tool to have, but it's also, you have to know how to use it. Mm-hmm. Right. And using it is the story. And if you're truthful about the story, then the story can go very long and far, reach a lot of people.
Yeah, and I also think that, when you're looking for jobs in the fashion industry, you're not only selling your skills or your design, you're really selling yourself and showing that you are the person for the job, showing that you stand out from the other competitors and why you're different. And you do that through telling a story. Right.
And everybody has a story, right? And if everybody has a story and your community is inclusive, right? Everyone has a voice and everyone has a representation. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the story, really is about moving forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so going off the importance of networking, I think you talked earlier about how you got a job through networking, but has there ever been another time where you were offered an opportunity or offered an opportunity to somebody else who you knew through your network?
Yeah, I think on a network perspective and the opportunities, I think it's basically mirrors back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. I've been given a lot of opportunity by local businesses and also big businesses in the Chicago area to sort of do what I'm able to do. But then also it's about giving the opportunity right back to other individuals, because you guys will meet Petra Perova at one of our podcasts, and she's someone that I truly think has qualifications and the skill sets that the city really needs. And I think this is an opportunity for Chicago. This is an opportunity for FashionBar. This is an opportunity for Petra, and this is also the opportunity for what the vision is for the city of Chicago. So I think opportunity is much more needed now, because everyone wants to grow into who they believe they are or should be. And so if they're around the right people that have the right energy, the opportunities will continue to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is important to make those connections. That's actually how I kind of offered, it wasn't really a job, but I was helping my neighbor with this boutique in my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And this was probably like 2015, and they wanted to do some sort of like online fashion show.
Yeah.
And my neighbor didn't really know a lot about social media, so she asked me about it. I was able to give her some advice, and next thing I know, I was working with them. And so, yeah, I just think it's really important to be able to make those connections and keep them and use those connections for your own good.
Right. And currently you may have connections you don't even know you have.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? But I think time will tell, and when the right time comes along, hit you. Like.
Mm-hmm. And so that article also mentioned the importance of being resilient, honest, and transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And so why do you think that's important? You always talk about identity and, being true to yourself. So how do you think those things all kind of tie in with each other?
I think if you believe in something, if you believe in something and this is what you are here to do and you continue to do it, success only comes from it when it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Success only comes when you're not taking advantage of the system, right? I think for me it's just basically utilizing the resources that I currently have, and building relationships where we can actually see financial growth,
Mm-hmm.
professional growth, emotional growth, because all of us, I think, are in this to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and a better person in business, a better person in fashion, a better person in your own identity. So in order to be better, you have to know the truth.
Yeah.
And I think the most important of the truth is self-truth, right? If you're in a bad relationship, confess to it you're in a bad relationship. If you've got a problem eating a lot, you have to address that because that's a health issue.
Mm-hmm.
If you self-inflict pain, you need to talk to somebody, because at the end of the day, it's your life and what you need to do to make it a better place for you. And so the opportunities will come once you show self-respect and take care of who you are.
Yeah, I also think that makes it easier to be resilient when you are being who you are, because you're confident and you're comfortable
Right.
in the person that you are and are becoming.
Right. And I think and if you don't like something, if you don't want to do something, no is an easy way out.
Yeah.
Right? And I encourage people to use that, because at the end of the day, it's about your comfort level, and your comfort level is going to tell you which direction you should really go in.
Mm-hmm.
And if the other person that's in your life doesn't accept it or resents it, well, that's a conversation that they need to have within themselves, to understand why that is. I
Right.
mean, relationships they can stay or they can go,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at the end of the day, you need to continue to be strong to that process,
Mm-hmm.
and go after the goals that you set yourself out to do.
I'm one of those people that has a hard time saying no, but recently I have been working on it,
Yeah.
and it does feel good to say no
It's
to
liberating.
things that don't benefit you.
Right. I mean, I think the most important thing about that is just making sure, in doing what you're asked to do, does it affect the value of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And if it does, and in a negative way, you don't need to be involved in
Yeah,
it.
don't do it.
Right. Don't do it.
Okay, so closing this off, what is your biggest piece of advice for anybody looking to work in the fashion industry?
I think my biggest advice is start early, start late, just start. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're helping change a lot of people's lives just by waking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, and continue living the dream.
Any other closing remarks?
No, I think this was great. Thank you for having
All
us
right.
today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on this. All right, tune in to next week's. Oh, I'm not.